This isn't about you. It's not about what you want to talk about. It's not about you making a sale. It's not about you looking good. It's not about you being the hero. You're not. You're the guide in this story, and this is how you do it.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Growth Engineers. Today, we're going to dig into something that everybody's heard, but not everybody understands. This concept of know, like, and trust. We're told over and over again, people won't buy from you unless they know, like, and trust you. Makes sense, right? But how do you use that knowledge strategically in your marketing planning, content creation, and really nurturing your relationships to the point where they lean in and want to work with you? So we're going to dig deep into know, like, and trust this week. Welcome to The Growth Engineers. So Atiba, I know this topic, this is close to your heart, near and dear to your heart.
Yep.
So let's lay it out, right? Know, like, and trust sounds good. We've heard it. It's in all the marketing stuff, marketing books. But what does that really mean? What are we trying to do when we understand this concept of know, like, and trust?
Yeah, so the bottom line of it all is this. No one will buy from you if they don't trust you. Just think about that for a moment, okay? Think about that for a moment. If your mama came to you and said, hey, I got a plot of land that I want to sell you, and some random dude on the street that looked homeless walked up to you and said, hey, I got a plot of land that I want to sell you, who are you more likely to buy from? Well, mama, of course, because you trust mama. I don't know you, dude. I don't trust you, dude. Right? And so our entire point in marketing is to get people to know us, like us, and trust us, and understand their journey that they need to take to go through that and help them through their journey. We're not pushing them. We're helping them through their journey. So at the point in time where it's time for them to need help, they say, you know what? Of course I'm going to work with you, Dean. I trust you, buddy. Yeah, of course. Let's go and work together.
Well, why can't I just jump to trust? I put good content out. People like it, right? Why can't I just hit them up with a bunch of good content so they know I know my stuff and they'll buy, right?
Yeah, you know, the cliche example here, but it's so apropos, is walk into a bar and go up to someone and say, will you marry me, that you've never met before? What's the chances that they're going to say yes? Better yet, walk down the street and just say, hey, would you like to go home and get in bed with me? What's the chances people are going to say yes? It's not great. Okay, and that's the challenge, is that when you're just throwing your message out there hoping it would stick with someone, you're playing the long odds that you hit the right person at the right time who's in a desperate state and says yes to you. And guess what? They never make great customers.
Exactly right. Yep. All right, so you've convinced me we need to take him through this journey, right?
Yeah.
We're going to build over time. But you have a slightly different take on this know, like, and trust methodology. I know you use in your business and you use with your clients. Why don't you run it through that? And to frame it up for our audience, how does that help you figure out marketing strategy, messaging strategy?
Yeah. So know, like, and trust is a great theory. And like any theories, it's like a plane, you know, cruising at 31,000 feet. And that's cool. We all get it. Woo, that makes sense. But how do we actually land this plane? What does it actually look like on the ground? How does it actually translate into what we're doing, right? Is it, okay, I got to build know, like, and trust in one post, or one piece of content that I'm putting out, in one video that I'm making, so I got to get them to know me. Okay, you know me now. Now, please, start to like me. Like me, like me, like me. Okay, you like me? Now, trust me, trust me, trust me. Call to action, call to action, call to action. Is that what it looks like? And so that's where a lot of people end up when we just talk about know, like, and trust, and it's just the plane, up there at 31,000 feet. So let's start to land that. And so we look at it and we say, okay, know, like, and trust. Why, how, what? And so we bucket content into 3 different buckets. Why, how, what? Okay. Now, why relates to know. One-to-one relationship there. Okay. In your why content, what you're putting out is big philosophical content, things that talk about the pain points, things that talk about why this is important, things that talk about why this should be fixed, why you shouldn't be in pain, or whatever it is. Okay. That's your why content. You're gathering people who say, you know what? Yeah, I believe that shouldn't be so too.
Yep.
Okay, that's your why content. You're letting people know this is what I believe. This is the philosophy. This is the reasons why. This is some of the pain points you have. This is what we're talking about. And they're saying, yes, 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 that's us. That's us. They're getting to know you. Now, in that process, they've got to start to like you. So there are people who you may believe what they believe philosophically, but you would never do what they do in actuality, right? The way they actually live out their beliefs is not the way you would.
Yep.
Okay? Just think about religion for a moment. There are tons of different denominations, and they all believe, but they live it out in different ways. Okay? That's the case with your audience as well. And so now in this like content or the how content, what you're going to do is start to show the steps of how you do certain things. Now, you're not giving away necessarily the whole kit and caboodle in one post or one piece of content. This may be like, there was a lady I was working with, and she builds custom boats, custom yachts, right? I said, great. You know what's a great piece of how content for you is show them how you install the doorknobs. Right? It's small, but in that they see, oh yeah, we agreed on craftsmanship being super important when it comes to my custom yacht. Man, I see your craftsmanship in the way you're installing that. Yep. Yeah, you're not cutting corners. You're the real deal. You're the real deal. And so now with content, what we want to do is we create the why content. The why content, when we start to talk about CTAs,
Yep.
call to actions, your why content points to your how content. Now, it can also point to other why content, but ultimately it points to the how content. This is how we do it. Now people are buying into how you do what you do. When they buy into how you do what you do, they are starting to like you. You know what? Yeah, I like how you did that. Man, that was pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, we thinking the same. Okay. Then comes the last piece. And that last piece is the what content, which directly relates to trust.
Okay.
Directly relates to trust. Now, we're not, depending on your industry, if you're in a short sale, like, e-commerce, that trust may be the sale. Mm-hmm. In most other industries, it's not a sale. It's them exchanging some information, name, phone number, email address. That moment is trust, is a trust moment. But how do we get there? Now, in the what content, we say, this is what we do. Would you like help from us to do it for you? Guess what? If you ask me that and I raise my hand and say, yeah, I want your help, I'm also telling you I trust you.
Yep.
I'm giving you permission. And so that's how we see content, Dean. That's how we break it down into these 3 buckets. And each one then takes you to the next one and takes you to the next one. Okay? That makes sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah. You're moving somebody down a path, down a journey intentionally. I think that the thing that I'd love the audience to take away is content isn't random. Well, content is random, but it shouldn't be random. When we look at our posts, you look at people's posts and emails and all other things, it's just stuff. Some people
Yeah.
focus on more how to's, some people focus more on the sales kind of content. The truth is, there's no method, there's no process. And what you've just described is a very strategic way to think about the buyer's journey and aligning content with that journey.
Yes.
So what if you get to the what content and they've raised their hand, they've said, yeah, tell me more, I want a quote, but they don't buy it.
Okay, great. Awesome. Awesome. Because here's what it says. Okay? Y'all ready for this one?
Bring it on.
Let's say you get to what content, someone says yes, they give you some information, and you start the process of the sales process with them, and they choose not to buy. Okay? Typically, that's because, one, either you did not show them the value enough in what you're doing, or two, they don't trust you enough yet. So sometimes I may be in enough pain that I might say, yeah, I'm interested, and then realize, and in either one of those cases, where you need to send them back to is your content. This is now, and we've talked about this in other episodes, the difference between rented and owned traffic. Once they get the trust and they've raised their hand and they give you their email address, now you have a way to contact them directly and you don't have to wait on anyone else's network. Now is when you have the conversations with them, you hear the questions that they're asking, they said no, they're not ready yet, or whatever their reason is. That's when now, and going back to even what we talked about AI, you can take all of this data from sales calls and say, okay, if people are saying these things, what kind of content should we give them next? And AI may be able to analyze that and say, oh, maybe they need to learn about X, Y, and Z, and say, oh, I already talked about that stuff. So now you can take the content that you've already produced in your why and your how and say, oh, they need this content. Great. I'll send them that content. And this is how you build an entire content ecosystem.
Excellent. So analyze, understand, know is so often not right now or not yet. And if it's a not yet, you go back through, right? You build on the why, you build on the how. And if they volunteer again, they're closer to the yes, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. So with the content, the different stages of the content, should some of it be more video content? Should it be more written content? Should it be white papers? Or how do we know what type of content to produce for each stage?
Yeah, it's a great question. Now, obviously, y'all all know I run a video marketing agency. So you will think, well, he has to say video. And I'm going to say video is super important. It's what people want. And here's what I'll also tell you. It depends on your audience. If you're selling to doctors, they're going to need a white paper sooner or later. Okay? They're going to need data to back up what you're saying. They're going to need it. If you're selling furniture to college grads, yeah, skip the white paper.
Yeah, doesn't align with what they care about, right?
Right? And so you have to understand what the pain points are for your audience and what they need to help them overcome that. Right? And so for that college grad, if you know your audience are college grads who are going to graduate, but they were frat people and they're going to want to throw parties, then yes, an image of this couch that you're selling in an apartment with people having a good time works just as well as a video.
Yep.
But you've got to know your audience and what they need.
Atiba mentioned this earlier. Go back to our AI episode that we did recently. It will guide you through how to understand that buyer. What do they care about? What are the emotions that they're tapping into? So you can then adjust all of these things with the strategy that Atiba's laying out. Don't guess. You don't have to guess anymore. That information's available. That's good stuff, Atiba. So where do we start? Where do we start with this? We know we've got to connect. We've got to show them the stuff and get into. I don't even know where to begin. Where do I start to really rethink about my content strategy?
Yeah. It all begins with your buyer, period. Okay. And it begins with your ideal customer profile, which, yes, AI can help you generate as well. And most importantly, understanding the pain points of your ideal customer. You've got to know what's going on with them and what it is that has them in pain, because that is your why content. Here's the beauty. Here's the beauty. You don't even have to plan your how content. If you do your why content correctly and you talk to their pain points and you talk to the transformation, your audience will ask you how. They will ask you for, how does this work? And then what do? You create a piece of how content. You don't have to say, oh, should I show them how I do my doorknobs? They'll ask you. If you create that why content and you really focus on their pain points and talking to those pain points and the transformation in there, people will ask you in the comments, whether it's a blog, whether it's a YouTube video, even on social media, they'll ask you how questions, which then direct, guess what? Your how content. You start to create that how content, then your what content becomes really, really apparent, because it is, hey, I showed you how to do this, but would you like my help to do it? You would? Okay, let's have the next set of conversations.
Yeah. I don't want people to miss this, the subtlety of what you just said. We talked about content, and then you said, you kind of alluded to a conversation. This why, how, what approach applies to your sales conversations too, not just your marketing content. Because when you actually have an opportunity to have a one-on-one with your prospect, they're going to go back, you're going to go back to the why, the current pain, the impacts of that thing, and all of the things we talked about in a prior episode. Check that one out. And then they're going to lean in and say, well, how does that work? How do you do that? Don't volunteer your how until they lean in and ask, right? Because then you're talking about you, and you haven't earned the right to talk about you quite yet. So it applies in your marketing content. It applies in your sales conversations. Really important. And it's amazing because you know all the answers. You're just waiting for the right time to share it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a great point. That's such a great point. And, you know, the other side of the beauty of this, okay? The other side of the beauty of this is when you know you've gotten this correct, especially if you're in a coaching consulting type of business, so you're not selling a commodity, okay? Or a service provider type of business. If you're in one service provider, coach, consultant, here's how you know when you've got it right. Because the phone call that you have after they've raised their hand and said they want help usually starts like this. You know, I've been following you for a while, and I saw in your content that you did X, Y, Z, and I went and tried it, and you know what? It worked, but it just took me too long, and I need to keep doing it, and I need help.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've truly built great trust.
Yep. They've already decided they're going to do what you said, and they need help implementing it. Whether they've tried it or not, if they have, awesome. If they haven't, they may realize right off the bat, I need to do this thing, and I need to do it with that dude because he taught me it. They're already there. Then we go back to this conversation around selling and closing and all. When do you want to get started? Let's go. They've already said yes.
Yeah.
Just move forward. And that's what quality content that has this approach behind it does. It creates warmer, buyer-ready leads.
Yes.
I would take 10 buy ready leads over 100 tire kickers any day of the week because it sucks.
Any day.
It sucks resources, right? You got to follow up and do a thing, get them on the list. What about a few that just say, let's go, dude?
Yep.
You can build volume once you've figured out how to create quality.
Yep.
And this process, follow this process, guys. Atib is giving you gold here. Follow the process. It works.
It does. Works.
Yeah. Anything else? What else do we have to touch on to kind of drive this point home today?
The biggest thing, and we've said it a few times, and I want to close with emphasizing this. This all starts with understanding your customer and what their desires are and what their pain points are and helping them solve those. This isn't about you. It's not about what you want to talk about. It's not about you making a sale. It's not about you looking good. It's not about you being the hero. You're not. You're the guide in this story. You are the Yoda of this story. The Yoda. Luke Skywalker is your customer. He's in pain. Princess Leia is about to be slain. And you have to guide Luke through. But Luke's got to get to know you. Luke's got to like you. And Luke's got to trust you. And this is how you do it.
Words of wisdom, Yoda. Good stuff. There's so much here. And I think it's so overlooked. And the marketing cliche around know, like, and trust is never dug into and uncovered. And you've uncovered it beautifully today. So we appreciate you for that, Atiba. So
thank you.
We are the Growth Engineers. That's Atiba. I'm Dean, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.